Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Glock 19 9mm semi-automatic firearm. And I'm sure you're wondering, why does he have a firearm in a video where he's talking about trading? And that's because I want to talk about pulling the trigger. The trigger on a firearm is the most important aspect of this firearm. Your top is just your barrel that holds your ammunition before it gets fired through this firing pin. But nothing happens to this gun unless you pull this trigger. This trigger cannot be pulled on its own, and there's nothing that can cause this trigger to fire because of the safety mechanisms that it has in the firearm. But once you have your finger on that trigger and your eyes on your target, you pull that trigger, that's when something happens. So how does that relate to trading? Key, very simple. In trading, you have your indicators, whether you're using Bollinger Bands, moving averages, or particular candlestick chart patterns. When you see those things line up and you have your sights on your stock or on your ETF, what you need to do is pull the trigger. Because nothing will happen unless you pull the trigger. No profits are made, no losses or expenses are incurred unless you pull the trigger. No successes or failures are done unless you pull the trigger. You won't understand your averages, if you're successful, if you're doing good at your trades or you're investing, unless you pull the trigger. There'll be opportunities that present itself, and nothing will happen unless you pull the trigger. So it's key that in trading, you learn how to, when you see everything line up in that stock chart, in that pattern, in your indicator that you see, whether it's bouncing off the bottoms of the Bollinger Bands, bouncing off of a 50 EMA or 100 simple moving average, whether it's a doji at a particular point, a bearish engulfing candle, a bullish engulfing candle, whether you want to go long, you want to go short. When you see everything that's a part of your plan and your indicators line up, you need to pull the trigger so that you could see if what you had set up to do leads to the success of your trading. And if it doesn't, then that's okay. We have stop losses where you can minimize your risk and minimize your loss. And also, you'll be able to know what your averages are. So of course, you have to pull the trigger multiple times. You can't just pull the trigger once and think you're either going to be successful or you're going to fail. One of the two things will happen, of course, in that one trade. But you need a series of trades to see if your plan and your indicators that you have are key to your success. So I want to encourage you that when you see everything line up for you on your stock chart, on that pattern, on that bounce, on that stock or that ETF, whether you're buying a straight stock share or if you're doing an option, I want to encourage you to pull the trigger. And then we'll see from there on how your plan plays out. So until next time, you guys, I want you to think, live, and be unstoppable.